Winter is here. So I'm not doing stuff inside or outside today. I'm doing stuff inside. What can I do? Well, I thought I would make some soap. Every year I collect deer fat and I render it down in the slow cooker, and I've got a lot of deer fat in the freezer, and so we're melting it down. They call this tallow. You can also use beef tallow for making soap. You can use lots of different oils if you want to do some research on that. So basic soap is really easy. You need some sort of fat and you need lye. For this recipe I'm using 100 grams of tallow, 313 grams of water, 140 grams of sodium hydroxide in crystal form. I'm just going to show you what the tallow looks like when I've rendered it down and cooled it. This one has quite a bit of residual fat stuff, so it needs to be washed. And so what I'm going to do is put it into this hot water and we're going to melt it down. I'm going to put this in with it because that one needs to be washed too. So we'll let those warm up. You can already see fat bubbles go into the top. What happens is the fat rises to the top and the scum either ends up in the water or right on the bottom layer of the fat. So you'll take out your tallow once it's cooled, and you can just remove by sort of scraping off some of the crusty bits. So this is what it looks like when you get it out of the pot. That's enough to probably do another 12 bars or so. And then you just have to scrape off this gook. Don't want that on your tallow. Okay, and there it is, all cleaned up. That's about as good as I'm going to clean it up. Ready to go back into the fridge. I'm going to turn on the fan. And we're going to add our sodium hydroxide. This stuff gets really hot. You can see the fumes and the heat coming off that. Our lye is around 64 degrees Celsius. We want it to come down to about 150. And I just measured the tallow. It's around 63 or 64, no, more like 65-ish. And so the lye is going to cool down a lot faster because there's less there. And I think I might need to put the tallow outside just to cool it down a little bit faster. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I've just added my lye water to my fat, and I always use this little ice cream container. I label it as a soap container, and I always use the same container for making soap because you don't really want to be using this for other things after you make soap with it. Anyway, I've added this stuff together, and this is the part where you just stir and stir and stir. You can use an immersion blender on this. You'll see lots of fancy soap makers using immersion blender, but I don't mind just stirring this stuff. It can take like 20 minutes, half an hour, it all depends. I've already made one batch in this, so you'll see some floating bits in here. This is just mint. I have some mint that I've dried myself. This is chocolate mint. I'm just going to throw it in here. I've never actually put this in here before. It smells wonderful. So we'll see. I also add tea tree oil to it. It smells fairly nice. Combination of mint and tea tree oil should make a nice smelling soap. This is my first batch I just made, and I'm just using these clementine box containers, and just lining it with a plastic bag and tape, and that just holds the mixture in there. It's not hot enough to melt plastic or anything. So all you do is just sit here and gently stir your mixture, and all of a sudden you'll notice it starts to thicken up quite a bit. And I believe it's called saponification once it reaches this thing they call trace, which just means that your drips sort of sit on top of the liquid, and these ones are not. It's still too liquidy at this point, but you'll reach that point where you reach trace, and that's when I'll add in my herbs and tea tree oil, give it one last little stir, and pour it right into here and let it sit. And it's not very fancy, but it does the job. And while I wait stirring my my soap, I can just sit back and watch the birds at the bird feeder. And that's what I'll do for the next little while. Okay, I think we finally hit trace here. If you could see what's happening on the top of the surface. So here's where I'm going to add my herbs. Bunch of tea tree oil. I'm not measuring this at all. That's really old tea tree oil. It's like a couple years old. Okay, and then we mix it all together. And I'm gonna have to put the camera down to pour this. So now we've poured our soap into our container. You can use any sort of container you can think of. In the past I've made nice little soap molds out of yogurt containers or any sort of container. Okay, so it's been 24 hours since I've poured the soap and we're ready to cut it. I'm going to try cutting this into 6 pieces. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course. It's fairly tough, but it's not impenetrable. Oh well. Good enough. And then try doing one here. And sort of doing the tip so that I don't end up just cracking it all at once. Wants to kind of crack a little bit. These are gonna keep the saponification process takes several weeks to complete, and so the soap isn't ready to use for at least a few weeks. I'll probably just let them sit around until the new year, which is, it's December 2nd today. Cut. And there you have it. I've just removed them out of the molds. They're not the prettiest looking soap, but basically what I was trying to do was make a functional soap. Something that's nice and big. You can see these are about the size of my palm. That's what I wanted. And yeah, these we'll just use these as soap for the house, and not selling these or giving these away to anybody. It's just for our use. And I'll just let you see what the inside sort of looks like. Right now it sort of looks like some sort of special fruit cheese. And it looks like the color came off of the plastic bag a little bit, but I'm sure that'll just wash away. Just have a look at these ones. These were 2 different batches I made, but they're relatively the same. Okay, that's it.